Welcome to our webinar. We're just going to start in a few moments. So bear with us, probably about 1 minute, we'll get going with the presentation. So as I hear the bells chiming, 4 o'clock, I'm going to get started here. My name is Lorraine Larson. I am the Executive Director of Nevada County Habitat for Humanity. And on behalf of our Homeowner Selection Committee, our staff, and our Habitat Board of Directors, I want to welcome you all today. I'm pleased and excited to be opening our pre-application period to welcome some potential new homeowners into the Habitat fold. We're going to try to keep this to an hour today. It can get a lot of heavy information coming at you. And so this format isn't as interactive as we would like, and we can't kind of do things on the fly, so the information can get a little dry. So we're going to try to keep it as short as possible. Our goal today is to have everybody who is watching here and who might watch the video later know how to get your pre-applications filled out and submitted. And we're going to share other things that might be over and above that. In the interest of time, we won't answer every single detail about the program, but we do want to give you enough information so that should you apply for this pre-application, you know what you're getting into for the most part. If for any reason during this presentation you drop off, your internet goes out, or you can't continue watching, or you have to run out to the grocery store and get some milk, then don't worry. Tomorrow at the end of the day, on a website that we'll be sharing with you throughout, there will be a recording of this presentation that you can watch, and it'll be available for you on the site that we share in a little while. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to share the presentation screen. And I want to share one more thing. We're going to be answering questions, but keep in mind that this is a pre-application period. We want to streamline this because of COVID to get everybody to be able to submit a shorter information application so we can check financial eligibility and make it easier for everybody to get their information and become eligible and move on to the next stage. So that means not all questions are going to be answered. Some questions might be answered here tonight. Some questions would be more appropriate should you progress to the full application stage. But I want to say that if any question you have falls into that category, but you feel, I really need this question answered, I cannot go through all this, even the pre-application shorter information fill out and get all the documents necessary unless I know the answer to this question. We're going to tell you how to communicate with us if you have a burning question that you must have answered, if it's a deal breaker. All right, so I'm going to go right into the presentation. Okay, welcome. Again, I said my name is Lorraine Larson. I'm the Executive Director of Nevada County Habitat for Humanity. I want to draw your attention first to our application webpage. You can get into this page through our website, nchabitat.org/housing 2021, or you can just go to nchabitat.org later on to get the application. I just want to state that up front. That's where a lot of the information is. That's where a lot of what you're going to need, and we'll be taking you there and talking about the application as we go. Let's just get to the agenda. We're going to share today what Habitat is and how it works. I'm going to explain what the homeowner qualifications are and the pre-application qualifications are. We're going to walk through the application and the application process. When the presentation is done, we're going to then welcome the homeowner selection committee members who are on the panel today to answer questions. We'll be answering those live. We highly recommend you take notes, so have a pen and paper handy, and we're going to do our best to get to all your questions. However, as I said, keep in mind this is a pre-application period, and in the interest of time, we will defer some answers that will be more relevant and important should you progress to the full application stage, and we'll explain that later. Some of the information will be repeated throughout this presentation, so don't worry. Questions will be answered as we go. And I'm not going to be answering any questions that are typed in until we get to the question and answer period. As I said, a recording of this session will be up on the website I shared earlier, and it will be shared again today. Habitat's mission and why we're all here today and what we're so excited about is to build decent, affordable homes in partnership with future homeowners. And this is what we do. This is what it's all about. We are a local nonprofit. We are an affiliate of Habitat for Humanity International. We are not, supported by them financially, although they do help us with many things. To build a Habitat home, it takes a whole community in partnership. Volunteers, our families, our homeowners, our businesses, our churches, donors, many organizations. It truly takes a village. The city contributes lots of different things to us, the county, the state. So in that, it's an entire community that invests in our mission and in our homeowners. It's a blessing, as it really takes this to achieve affordability. But with the community investment comes a desire to see successful home ownership results. That is something that we all want and that we all can be proud of. And that means sometimes there's a little more scrutiny on how our homes and neighborhoods are maintained. And with homeownership comes responsibility. That is a successful outcome. And so the expectation is that our homeowners will have a pride in homeownership. We are a nonprofit and we depend on the donations, grants, fundraisers. We're not a government agency. We depend on donations from this community to do what we do. How does it work? Well, this is not a giveaway program. We do not give away homes. Our selected applicants become homeowners. Homes are purchased at the title company, the signing of documents, through an affordable 0% interest mortgage with about a 1 to 2% down payment. We won't get into a lot of details of finances, but I will talk later about how much a home costs and what that mortgage payment looks like. Sometimes we do very low interest loans that are called 0% equivalent, but for now, Habitat's carrying the loans at 0%. Our applicants must qualify, and a lot of details are coming on that, so you'll understand what that means. This pre-application period, as I said, is a shorter pre-qualification step. Because of COVID, we wanted to make this an easier process in the beginning for everyone so that you could get this information in and not go through the full application stage if it's not something that's going to work out for you. The next step is the folks who qualify after this go on a list of applicants and go through a much more detailed full application stage. So don't want to put you all through that full application stage yet. We'll give you this shorter stage looking at specific criteria. How do you qualify? So today we're going to cover mostly ability to pay, and that's what the pre-application stage is all about. There are other things that go into selecting a homeowner that we will share in the interest of you knowing what you're getting into, but the things with asterisks here on this slide are qualification criteria that we explore later in the full application stage. In a nutshell, how do you qualify? You are able to pay the affordable mortgage. I'll share more about that. you have a need, you are able to partner with Habitat, and you are a first-time home buyer. First-time home buyer doesn't mean first time ever, just first time within the last 3 or so years of not owning a home. And if you own a home now, I would urge you to still apply, but it might not be a good timing situation for you. There is much more information on our website, nchabitat.org, about the qualifications. You click on programs and then on home buyer, and you can see a lot more detail, but I will cover some things today so you know what you're thinking of getting into. Turning in a pre-application doesn't mean you're committing to anything. However, it just means that you're interested and you want to go forward in the process. Let's talk about that first one, ability to pay. We're going to look at your income and your debt. And when we show you the pre-application later, I'll talk a little bit more about that so you know what that is. But it's gross income, all of your gross income. If you have a variable income, you can average it over the last 3 months. If you're self-employed, we ask that you provide your tax returns instead of pay stubs. If you've already turned in your 2020 tax returns, you can provide those to us. If not, 2019 tax returns will suffice. We look at your debt, and that's all of your debt: loans, vehicle, student debt, furniture, if you purchase furniture with a loan, any appliance loans, anything you owe, credit cards, medical bills, and other bills. We're going to look at that. The qualifying income range is based on 30% to 80% of the median income for Nevada County. And these are numbers that the Housing and Urban Development puts out, HUD. And we also have some information on that here. So looking at this chart, this is based on the median gross income, the HUD numbers at about 30%, but it's not just 30%. It's also based on what income would be needed at these household sizes to be able to afford to pay a mortgage. So this is ability to pay, and there is a mortgage at the end. So the minimum gross annual income that would qualify you based on household size is here. That page I mentioned earlier, this information is also there. If you're a little lower than this, we still urge you to apply, because these numbers are not exact and they vary and change year over year. If you're much, much lower than this, it might be difficult to afford the mortgage, but at the end of this slideshow, I'll show you what the mortgage looks like so you can get a better idea of what that monthly mortgage payment looks like. We have a maximum income as well, 80% of the median. And here, based on household size, is the gross annual income, and that's gross, not net, maximums. And again, this information is available on our website under the home buyer. And if you're a little bit over this, I also still urge you to apply, because as I said, these numbers are not exact and they do change. Another criteria, which we aren't looking at this stage of the pre-application, but we will be looking at that should you progress to the full application stage, is your need for housing. Are you in dire need for housing and affordable housing? Are you living in transitional housing now? Is it unstable, unsafe, overcrowded? These are all things we look at down the road, and this information is explained on our website. Is your current housing causing you a significant cost burden? If you're living in California, it's likely that it is. And if it's more than 50 to 60% of your income, which we see a lot in California, then that's something that we look at, and that's considered a need for housing, and likely we will want to work with you. Talked about the partnership commitment. Again, we aren't looking at this stage, but so you know going forward, every homeowner selected must complete 500 sweat equity hours. I know that seems like a daunting amount. It is like a job that goes with this, but trust me, all of our homeowners have been able to complete that. So it's not as daunting as it looks. We also require our selected homeowners to complete courses in budgeting, home ownership and home maintenance. And these courses are provided by Habitat through the course of your build. We really want our selected homeowners to learn how to be an involved, responsible homeowner and a good neighbor. This is really important to success. We match our selected homeowners with a partner family who walk with them throughout the process, give guidance and support, and beyond move-in, they are there to support you. We have a homeowner support committee that works with you and should you be selected and helps you walk through the whole process and helps you through to success. We ask our selected homeowners to participate as they can in events to help raise awareness and garner support for Habitat and support for their build. This is not your typical retail home ownership purchase situation. Our homeowners have to comply with the conditions of a detailed home ownership agreement. And we won't go into too much detail about that today, but there are some things that are different about Habitat home ownership from purchasing a home on the open retail market. One of those, as an example, is there's equity sharing should a homeowner decide they need to leave the home or sell the home, and there are deed restrictions, and I'll talk more about that later. What is sweat equity? As I said earlier, 500 volunteer hours each homeowner must complete over the course of their build. Even before their build, they can start some work, and there's lots of opportunities. Friends and relatives may help with a percentage of hours. We'll go into a lot more detail should you move on to the next stage, but there's a percentage of hours that can be given by your support team that hopefully you will have behind you and working with you. And there's lots of different ways to earn hours. Mostly we ask homeowners to be on the site. If that's difficult because of disabilities or things like that, we make accommodations, and there's lots of opportunities across the organization to help. Again, sometimes people see this and they think, oh, I'll never be able to do that. And don't worry too much about it. Don't let this dissuade you from applying. All of our homeowners have been successful. So you might want to know, well, where are the homes? What are the homes like? When can I move in if I'm selected? So right now, the answer to that question is it depends. We are working on 2 building projects in Grass Valley city limits right now, and those are all close to transportation, close to downtown, close to stores and all of that. But we don't know which home an applicant might qualify and be selected to go into. It may be one of those projects. We've had situations where other homes become available from time to time, so you just never know. This we will not have the answers to specifically probably during this stage. If you want to see a Habitat home and you absolutely must know, you can go on our website and you can look at them, or you can call and we can tell you where our neighborhoods are. You might be wondering, is Habitat for me? Since it is a different experience from your average retail home purchase. It is a long-term commitment. This is not an immediate housing solution. It could take a year past selection time or more, depending on our build schedule, depending on the different families that have been selected to move into the home. So this is something that we become very close for a very long period of time. There's different expectations about around being a Habitat homeowner. For example, this is not a custom-built home. There's fairly standard. There are some things our homeowners select, but overall, to make it affordable, we have standard homes and standard sizes depending on family size. Successful homeownership comes with responsibility. Being a successful Habitat homeownership comes with some different responsibilities. You become part of a wider community and part of the Habitat family. Should you progress to the full application stage after this pre-application stage, we will be asking to look at your budgeting and helping you with budgeting. We will be doing full credit checks and background checks. So we'll need you to get information on your credit score during this stage, and I'll share more about that. Our homes are deed restricted. What does that mean? Well, deed restrictions are rules that protect habitat and the community's investment in affordable homes. They are intended to keep the home in the affordable inventory pool should, for whatever reason, one of our homeowners decide they can't stay in the home through the course of the possible 27 to 30-year mortgage. These are also known as encumbrances and are burdens placed on the sale or transfer of the home. More details are going to be shared about this in the full application period, but just to give you one example of a deed restriction is that the owners must live in the homes. You can't rent or lease them. Another example is Habitat has the first right of refusal to purchase the home. If a homeowner decides to leave or sell the home. Another example is that the homes have to be sold to low-income buyers. So that means selling a Habitat home can be a long and involved process. This is not a money-making scheme for any individual looking to for real estate financial gain. This is a permanent, stable, affordable home that we are wanting to provide for our homeowners. Okay, so I want to show you our how do you get an application? Where do you go? There's 3 different ways you can submit it, but for now, you can go to the nchabitat.org/housing 2021. This picture here is showing you our homepage on our website, which is nchabitat.org. NC stands for Nevada County. And if you click on the Learn More button there, it will take you to the pre-application page, landing page, and that's where everything will be. So right from the home page, you can get there. I want to say that this getting and filling out and submitting an application is going to be important that you drive this process to successful completion. Homeownership comes with a lot of responsibilities, and it starts now. We can facilitate as much as possible and try to help you get your application submitted, but it really is up to you to reach the finish line. There are deadlines, and I'll be sharing that information shortly. When you click on the Learn More from our homepage, or if you go straight to the Housing 2021, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see to the application where you registered for this meeting today. You're going to be able to click over to our home buyer program page. We urge you to do that because we want you to learn more about the qualifications. And also, this is where the recording will be available, right where this application information meeting area is. Tomorrow at the end of day, the recording of this presentation will be available right in that spot. You can download the form here, your pre-application form right here. If you can't download a form, or if you have problems with the internet, I'm going to share with you where you can pick up a form in a moment. But here's where you would download the form, and a PDF comes up. It is a fillable form, digitally fillable. If you'd like, you can fill it out electronically, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. If you were to scroll down from here on our webpage, you will see this information. One of the pieces of information we're going to be asking you to provide on your pre-application is your credit score. And here are some links to reliable sources to get that information free. We're looking for your FICO credit score, and I'll talk more about that when we get to the application. But also, we urge you to go to this page and look at what are the responsibilities of a homeowner, what's the difference between being a renter and a homeowner, and really learn about what those responsibilities are. You see here that this pre-application is open until May 5th at 4 p.m. So that date is going to come up a lot today. Just keep that date in your head. May 5th is our deadline for you to submit your pre-applications and your attachments. So I'm going to talk now about the stages of the pre-application process. So you're going to submit your pre-application and include the attachments, and we'll share that in a minute. You're going to return it to Habitat offices on or before Wednesday, May 5th at 4 p.m. There are 3 ways to return and submit your application. You can drop it off in person at our Habitat offices. I'm going to show you exactly where those are. You can mail it to the Habitat PO box, and that will be information I'll share momentarily. And as long as the postmark date is May 5th, it will be considered eligible for us to look at that. Or you can email it to info@nchabitat.org. And I'm going to share a bit later about emailing and electronic submissions. And you'll need to include everything that is listed on your on the pre-application with it in order to be eligible, in order to be considered and move on to the next stage. Those who qualify will be placed on a list to go ahead to the full application process, which is a lot more detailed information. We ask for a lot more financial and other information, and it's much more detailed, rigorous process. Our selection committee is going to review these pre-applications to determine this list of folks who move on to that full application stage, and everyone will receive a contact regarding their status of their pre-application by June 4th. So you might receive a letter or phone call, you don't know, but we might receive any form of contact. So look at your email, keep an eye out. That's the date when you'll hear. We will begin our full application period mid to late June after that June 4th date. So the question, what if I have applied previously? Well, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say you do have to start over. This is a new round of applications. It's been some time since folks have applied, so the information that we have on you would probably be out of date, would not be accurate at this time. So this is a new round and everything has to kind of start over. As I said earlier, if you're super tech savvy and you know that you can submit things by email, great, good for you. I just want to explain there's some things about submitting by email that we need you to know. All the files that you send that are part of this pre-application that we're going to be asking you to submit, and again, I'm sharing that in a few minutes, must be sent as attachment. Do not send them as links. If it's a link, it's likely we will not be able to access that information. Do not send them through Google Docs or Dropbox or any intermediary viewing program. We usually need to have codes or access codes for that, and we won't be able to get the information. If you do send them that way or we can't access your documents, we will notify you by email. So it's up to you to ensure that we receive your documents so we can read and access them, and please check your email regularly. We don't recommend that you send photos of your documents. It has been done, but a lot of times we can't read them, and we'll let you know, but we don't recommend photos. If you can get your documents scanned, please do that and send your scanned files. If you don't know how to do that or you have no ability to do that, hopefully someone can help you. I think Staples helps with that, but photos don't often come across very clearly. When in doubt, if technology can be unreliable, consider printing the application off of the page that I showed you earlier and filling it out by hand and dropping off the application and the backup documents or putting them in the mail. If you have any issues with technology, I recommend you just print everything out, fill it out by hand. You can fill it out electronically and digitally and print it out and drop those off. But I recommend that if you're having any trouble. We do have pre-applications available for pickup at our offices, and I'll show you that in a moment. In fact, next. So our Habitat offices are located here at 236 South Church Street in Grass Valley. If you're listening in on this and you don't have access to the internet, you can't see what I'm putting up, you're listening to this presentation over the phone. It's, again, 236 South Church Street in Grass Valley. Our offices are inside the Grass Valley United Methodist Church. This is, if you were standing on Church Street, you'd be looking at the Methodist Church. this is what you would see. To the left of this, our habitat delivery door, there's the main entrance of the church. There's a giant oak tree that you can't miss. It's quite formidable out front. And I'm just showing you where our delivery door is, and I'll zoom in on that in a moment. But we will have applications in a little slot right at this door. You can come and pick them up. They're there now if you need them. If you aren't sure how to get an application, you're having trouble, you can call us at 530-274-1951 and press 0 if you need directions or if you need help getting an application. This is the door. I'm going to zoom in on that door where the blue arrow is pointing at. This is our delivery door. Please put your pre-applications in the mail slot. If you're having trouble fitting it through, you can ring the bell, but we really ask that you just put the applications into that slot. If there's any issues, you'll be contacted. We may or may not be able to answer the bell if we're here or in a meeting or not here. So don't count on that. We need to be able to fill them in, to be able to fit them in through this slot. If you have trouble with that and we're here and you ring the bell, we might be able to answer it. But we won't be able to answer questions about your eligibility in person. We may be able to answer questions in person about how to get your application to us. But eligibility is going to be determined by our homeowner selection committee after the fact, and they're not in the building. You'll meet our homeowner selection committee panelists here in a minute. I just want to reiterate, this information is on our website, but where you can get your credit score if you haven't done it before. We are looking for your FICO score, and if you are able to get your credit score from all three sources, official sources, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, those are the credit sources, credit report and credit score sources. We ask you to put the score number in the middle if you get all three of them in your application field, which I'll show you in a moment. And that is if you get a 600 from one and a 610 from another and a 620 from another source, put the 610 in this case. So what can you do now? Gather all your information for your pre-application. As I said, I'm going to walk you through that in just a moment. Maintain a good credit score if you can. Improve it, do so. Clearing debt, you don't have to do that, but it's always a good idea. You want to know about your debt, and you don't have to clear it all up. That's not what we're asking you to do, but that's something that you might want to consider. Please learn about the responsibilities of homeownership versus renting. There's a lot of things that a homeowner is responsible for that often a renter isn't. Examples are maintaining a yard, maintaining your home. Oftentimes you can call the landlord and he'll fix things or she'll fix things. Rent sometimes includes paying the water bill, the sewer bill, the electric bill, gas, garbage, internet, cable TV, property taxes and insurance. Those are generally not part of rent or included in the rent, and those are not included in home ownership. I'll talk a little bit about the taxes and insurance in a moment. Google, is home ownership right for me? Or what is successful home ownership? So you kind of get an idea of what the differences are. As I said, we have that information on the Housing 2021 page. You can click on some resources there. There are different responsibilities being a Habitat homeowner, as I said earlier. So how much do our homes cost? It varies, and it depends on what building material costs go up and down, taxes go up and down, insurance prices go up and down. As you know, with some of the fire issues we've had in this area, home insurance costs have gone up. But for a 2-bedroom, our average price is about $189,000, give or take. For a 4-bedroom, around $210,000, depending on all the things I mentioned earlier. So you can see with a median home price in Nevada County of close to $490,000 right now, this is an incredibly affordable sale price of a home. Our monthly loan payments range from about 750 to about 950 at this time. And that includes us collecting an impound account amount to pay your property taxes and home insurance if you're a Habitat homeowner. So we take care of that, but we do collect that amount, and it is included in that range. Our mortgages are figured at 28 to 30% of your gross income so that it is affordable. Successful home ownership includes being financially successful and reducing the cost of rent down to that 30% or less of your gross income. Our typical mortgages run 27 to 30 years. They are 0% interest. Almost all mortgages are carried by Habitat. We are the lender, and sometimes we, depending on your situation and your financial situation, we direct you to equivalent very low interest loans to keep it affordable. All right, so hopefully that wasn't too much information, not overload. I am going to now just tell you about this email, info@nchabitat.org. If you have questions, we'll try to answer your questions here today. But if there's a question that doesn't get answered, or like I said, it's one of those deal breaker questions earlier that you must have answered and you don't hear the answer today, please email that question. We'll do our best. If you are in Zoom now, you probably know about Q&A at the bottom of your screen. I'm going to stop share now. You will, if you hover down there, you will see a Q&A. Oh, you know what? I realize I have to share one more thing with you. Sorry, I'm backing up here. I have to share the pre-application. So let's go to that. When you download your pre-application, this is what you're going to get. I always forget something, huh? This is really important to walk you through this. This is the document. It's a PDF. This is what you would print. Due Wednesday, May 5th, as I said earlier, on or before 4 p.m. if you're going to drop it off at our offices, or postmarked on May 5th if you're going to mail it. There are 3 ways to submit it, and that's here again. You drop it off in person at our offices, you mail it, or you can email it to this info@nchabitat.org. You must include a copy of your photo ID and 2 of your most recent pay stubs. Hopefully in the same month, so we can use that information to know what your monthly income is, gross income. If you're self-employed, as I said earlier, your 2019 or 2020 tax returns will do. You don't have to give us both, just one of those will do. I want to share that it's really important that you're as accurate as possible in filling out this information, because during the full application stage, should you be eligible and progress to that stage, all of this information is going to be gone over with a fine-tooth comb and verified. So do your best to fill it out accurately. So here, section 1 is your applicant and co-applicant. If you have a co-applicant, information. Put your name, your age, your phone number. If you're going to fill it out electronically, you can type your full name in here, and it will shrink down to fit the information. So you can see this, how that works, and you can then print it from here. Or you can just print it and write this information in. Please provide your email, your present address. You can click whether you own or rent if you're submitting digitally, or put an X there. The number of years you have lived in your present address. Are you married, separated, unmarried? Please provide that information. The first name of the dependents who will live with you and their ages. If you're going to fill this out digitally, to submit digitally, if you're that tech savvy, you can put the name in, and since you can't circle digitally, you can put female, put an F or an M there. But if you're printing this out, then you can just add that information in and your dependents. Pretty straightforward. Section 2 is your monthly income. Gross monthly income before taxes, all sources of income. Wages, any temporary assistance funds you're receiving, alimony you receive, or child support, if you're receiving Social Security income or disability income or interest income. You can average, if your wages are variable, you can average over 3 months and put that amount in here and use your most recent 3 months of complete income to get that average. Put your monthly total income and your co-applicant's monthly total income. And these are the folks who are going to be purchasing the home, not necessarily everyone that lives in the home. Section 3, your assets. Total for both of you and your applicant and the co-applicant should be put in this field. All your current bank accounts, savings, checking, any loans that are due to you, so that's considered an asset. Credit union funds, if you have investment accounts, all of your assets and things you own. If you own a home or you own a property, the value of that should go here under assets. And please put the total for all applicant and co-applicants combined here. Your debt. This is pretty important that you know and understand all of your debt and communicate that information to us. Who do you and your co-applicant owe money to? This includes credit cards, as I said earlier, any loans you have outstanding, vehicle loans, student loans, medical bills. If you owe money to family or friends, even if you're not paying on the debt, please include that information here. You put your monthly payment, you can put the type of account it is, just put credit card or furniture loan, whatever, alimony I owe. If 4 lines isn't enough for you and your co-applicant, you can put that information on a separate page and attach it to this 2 pages of the pre-application. Just put the information here and then list any additional debt on a separate page. Section 5, and you can see here, sorry, I'll go back a little bit just quick. Put your monthly payment, what you're paying, the unpaid balance on that particular debt, and the months left to pay if you have that information, and total that up. If you're going to include a separate page, add that information in these totals from your other page. Section 5, have you or your co-applicant ever filed for bankruptcy? If so, what year was it declared? Please put that information here, yes or no. That information will come up on a credit check, so be accurate. And what is your current credit score? As I said, there are free online options to find your FICO credit score. And you want to put your score here and the score of your co-applicant. Do you have any outstanding judgments because of a court decision against you, or are you currently involved in a lawsuit? Yes or no? And if you want to type something about that here, you can. You can write something about that here. Are you a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident? You and your co-applicant, answer that here. And then we have a section for additional comments and information. If you want to explain something in your income, if you're not sure if it's income, you can put that information here. If you want to explain something about debt, you can put that here. This is really available for you to explain or clarify any information in any of the sections above, if you feel like there's a need for that. You don't have to put anything here, but sometimes it helps if you're not sure about the information. If you print this out, which you can print it right from here, you can print it from the website, I believe. Please sign, you and your co-applicant both sign and date. You can digitally or electronically sign. Also, if you're submitting digitally and not submitting a paper application, you can do that here. You can fill out the application by hand and scan it and send it in with, I'm going to go back up to the top because that's the end of the pre-application, with these attachments. Remember, I'm going to reiterate, copy of your photo ID, copies of your 2 most recent pay stubs or income information from tax returns if you're self-employed. All of these 3 things, your pre-application, your ID, and your pay stubs must be included for your application to be considered. Okay, now I will stop share and introduce our panelists here in a moment. And then we'll get to the questions and answers. Start video. I can't start the video yet. right, we're back. So I would like to introduce today, Barbara Dean is the chair of our homeowner selection committee, been with Habitat many, many years, and helped us find many wonderful homeowners, and we hope all of you today will eventually be that as well. This is a joy for us to work to do, and it's what it's all about, is helping people in the community to realize the dream of owning a home. If you have a question, hover down below at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you will see Q&A, and you can click on that and you can type your question in. So I'm gonna open those now and begin answering, or having my lovely panelists answer questions that we have. So let me start with an anonymous attendee who has asked, my credit isn't the best, but I do have a good job and I'm actively working on my credit score. Will I be overlooked if my credit is 560? So the answer to that is we urge you to still apply. Credit score is just one piece of your whole financial picture, and it doesn't determine everything. 560 still falls within the range of application that we will consider, but there's going to be many different things that we ask for and information that we collect, and all of that information and all of that goes into determining eligibility, not just one piece of data. Anyone else have anything to add? Okay, I'll move on. Another question from an anonymous attendee: can seniors get mortgages with Habitat? Absolutely. Please apply if you're a senior. Age has nothing to do with eligibility, so yes. Another question: if I'm disabled, can other people help me do all of my sweat equity hours? So the answer to that is no, not all of your sweat equity hours. We make accommodations. If you are selected and you have a disability, we make accommodations to provide you with opportunities, many, many opportunities to perform your sweat equity hours, but not all of your sweat equity hours can be performed by someone else. You have to form a significant percentage of these hours. Another question: can I choose the size of the house I live in? Not really. The houses are determined by the neighborhood, by your family size, and they're pretty standard sizes, and the homes are pretty similar. And depending on your neighborhood, depending on which home you get selected for, which neighborhood, that will determine your home size. Another question. And again, I'm just going to say, if you want to type a question, click on Q&A, and we'll get through as many of them as we can today. Some of them might be deferred to later on for the full application period, but you can always contact our office if your question somehow gets missed, and if it does, I really apologize. Another question: I technically make just over the income threshold, but I'm in school, which takes a good portion of my income. I also have a few other financial responsibilities that make finances complicated. Am I eligible? So I can't answer the question, am I eligible today? The only way we'll know that is if we have your information and if you turn in your pre-application, and then we move on to the full application stage. I mean, that's when that will be answered. However, as I said, your financial picture is, we look at the whole financial picture. So I would urge you all to apply. We've made this simple with 2 pages, as simple as possible, so that it's not a big headache to apply during this pre-application stage. So yes, in a nutshell, I think I would urge you to apply in this situation. Okay. Can I get a Habitat house if I'm on Social Security? Yes, you can. If you have Social Security income, you can still apply and possibly be eligible to get a Habitat house. Please do. Another question is, what if I buy a Habitat house now and I want to sell it in 5 years? I hope I answered that earlier. That is a question that will be answered in much more detail later. But if you really think that it's a 5-year prospect for you, I'd maybe rethink it, but I still urge you to apply. It's just very complicated, very difficult to sell a Habitat home because of the deed restrictions. It takes time and it takes some effort. And so I don't know. The answer is I don't know, but that I hope I answered that earlier. Another question is, how many homeowners are selected each year? This is another, it depends. It depends on our build, how fast our building goes. It depends on whether we have land. Depends if we can build 3 homes a year or 2 homes a year or 4 homes a year. That depends on funding. So I would say in general, 1 to 2 per year, but we're always working to increase our capacity. And sometimes the selections can be 18 months between selection periods. So that's the general answer, 1 to 2, maybe 3. We're trying to increase our capacity, so hopefully one day I'll be able to say 4. Next question. If I have children who live with me during the weekends, should I put them on the application? The answer is yes. Please put them on the application, on the pre-application, the 2 pages. Another question, Kathy asks, you were going to let us know where on the application to put the credit score. I hope I did that. It's on right on the 2nd page there. And I'm sorry. Is it
in section 5.
Section 5, the credit score. So that's where you would put that information. Thank you, Tim. What if your credit score is low? Deborah asks. Well, you know, again, it's just one piece of data. It's not your whole financial picture. So we will look at the whole picture. It's not going to determine everything. So please apply if you feel your credit score is low. And sometimes if it's too low or things don't work out because of that, or if that's a major factor, we have helped people and counseled people, and then they've reapplied. So that's always a possibility. But please don't let that be a deal breaker. Please don't let that be the only reason you don't fill in this pre-application. It says, Adrian asks, what up here application lethal is minimum credit score? Well, there isn't one. So that's the answer to that. I don't know what lethal means, but hopefully your credit score isn't lethal to you. And remember, credit scores can also always be improved. Judy asks, my income is less than what you require, but I have money in a trust that can be used to pay the mortgage. Will this work? It could. It's a possibility. Does anyone want to add to that? Yeah, I would say yes.
Put that information down so that we, under asset, I would presume.
Yes, put that information under your assets, and that will help with your pre-qualification for this pre-application stage. And then we'll get into a lot more detail in the next stage on that sort of thing. Michael asks, does a homeowner need to purchase appliances, or do some come with the house? All your appliances come with the house. We build a house so that when you move in, everything is there. Sometimes there's even some surprises in the cupboard. You may not even need to purchase Windex, for example. So you do not need to purchase those. Homeowners do need to purchase washers and dryers, however. Those do not come with the house. Another question is, do you need an ID for all adults in the home or just the head of household? I have an adult daughter living with me. I would say include the ID for the people in the household who you are going to be considered the purchasers or the owners at the end. So the co-applicant is a co-owner. Barbara?
I was just going to say, the co-applicant if this person is going to be on the deed and we need an ID for that person. If that person is going to be a purchaser of the house, we need that ID.
Right. If you have someone that's going to live with you, you can put them in the area under that applicant information under dependents. If they may or may not stay, put them there. Are vehicles considered assets? Good question. I don't think so. Your value of your vehicle should not be put under an asset. So the answer to that question is not at this time. Now, if you have a hovercraft or an airplane, that might be different. Question is, what if you're in the process of divorcing during the application stage? And our assets a retirement account amount. So if you're in the process of divorcing during the application stage, you can still apply, but you will have to get permission from your spouse about the permission to purchase a home in your name without your spouse. So there's a process for that. And if you progress to that full application stage, that will be explained. And yes, please put the amount of your retirement account in your assets. Please add that in. Another question? I already turned in my pre-application, but need to correct a couple of things. Will I be able to do that? Yes. As long as you get your corrected pre-application in by May 5th at 4 o'clock, if you're dropping off, postmarked on May 5th, if you're mailing, you can resubmit and we will take that information. If it's after May 5th, no. Can a co-applicant be a relative that doesn't currently live with me? That's a possibility.
Sure. Why
If they're
not?
going to end up living with them.
If it's someone you want to put on the deed, then Barbara?
I was just going to say we would need that information.
Yes. Megan asks, if my co-applicant works under the table, should I just not include that person during the application process? Oh, I've not had that one before. What do you think, team?
I
We
think
need
that's
to include that.
a question we probably shouldn't legally answer.
I think we should probably have some information about that, or at least to pursue it in an application later on.
Since we're going to be verifying income in the full application stage, that could be tricky.
Could definitely,
So Michelle asks, sorry, go ahead, Janie, say that again.
could definitely pose a problem.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I would like to know what your cutoff for salary needs to be considered. That was shared during the presentation. I hope we answered that. If you didn't get it during the presentation, please go to nchabitat.org and you can click on the home buyer under programs, and that'll give you that information there. You have to scroll down a little bit. If you're still unable to find it, give us a call, 274-1951, and press 0, and we will get you to that information. We are currently living in trailers. How big are the plots? Would there be room for trailers?
No,
So typically, no. Typically, our lots are pretty small, and that is actually one of the things that is in the Habitat homeowner agreement, that trailers or RVs would not be on our properties. So the plots aren't very big. If we currently have an apartment, 2-bedroom for 3 people, but have had mold issues in the past, would we qualify for need? That would absolutely be something that would put you in a qualification in the need category. Mold is an unsafe situation, Lots of homes around the area have that. And yeah, that's not a good thing. And that, yes, I would say yes to that question. It's pretty common. If I will have student loans in the future, should I still apply? Of course, we are looking at your current financial picture. We want to talk about that. We want to know about that so that you can maintain your homeownership situation. But yes, please do apply. Lots of our homeowners go back to school after they become Habitat homeowners. We encourage it. What if I get SSDI, Social Security Disability Income, and I'm receiving unemployment right now because I cannot work while I am at home pregnant with a high-risk pregnancy? If you feel that your income is mostly within the ranges we talked about earlier, please do apply. I don't think that's going to disqualify you. If I currently receive Section 8 for part of my rent, will I be able to continue to use this assistance for monthly mortgage, or is there another HUD/government source I can use?
No.
If you're currently receiving Section 8 and you become a Habitat homeowner, you will lose your Section 8 voucher or income. And so that's between Section 8 and the homeowner. Generally, they take that money away when you achieve home ownership, if and when you achieve home ownership. I don't know of another source for income through HUD that you can get to own a Habitat home. Do you want a copy of my credit report too? No, not at this stage. If you are eligible and you move on from this stage, we will be obtaining full credit reports on eligible pre-applicants. Can you have a single story? I believe you're asking, is Habitat homes, are they single story? Some of our Habitat homes are. Yes, sometimes. It depends. I currently do not have employment. I am on workman's comp. Can I still apply? You can still apply. I would urge you to look at those income ranges and see where you fall. How big are the plots? It depends. We can't answer that question today. It's all different depending on when you're selected and where we're building. Should I include COVID unemployment in my income? Yeah, all your income sources should be listed under income in the total. All your gross income amounts should be included in that total. Yes, correct? I know someone who applied for a Habitat home and was not selected because they were still looking to house a family over a single person. Is this the case still? I think I understand the question. Tim, did you want to say something?
Sure. We do have homes for single people, but in any one cycle, there may or may not be a home of a suitable size for a single person. So the answer is, just because you're single, we would urge you to go ahead and apply.
Right. Families, single, it doesn't matter. Please apply. I don't think family size was the reason they weren't selected, but it depends on the build cycle. One of the things that's happening going forward is we are building in a neighborhood where we have flexibility on the housing size, depending on the greatest need and eligibility of our applicant pool. So that gives us a little more flexibility to select based on our criteria and not based on what we're building at the time. That's going to be one of those questions that'll be answered in more detail later on. How many rooms are going to be available for the next houses built? We are a family of 2 adults and 4 kids. Well, we're going to be building a home, a 4-bedroom home coming up here. And then beyond that, we have that flexibility that I talked about. And so please, yes, absolutely. 2 adults, 4 kids, please apply. Absolutely. We will be building a house that will accommodate a family of that size in the very near future. Can I use the proceeds from a mobile home sale towards the purchase of a Habitat house to compensate for my income, being about half of the minimum income requirement? I receive child spousal support and have a disability claim pending. That sounds a little complicated. And if you own a home now, although if it's a mobile home, that doesn't disqualify you. You know, it kind of depends. I would say it sounds like you've got different sources of income. I would definitely urge you to fill out this pre-application. You know, that's why we made it simple in 2 pages, not 8 pages like our full application, in cases like this, so we can really look at that and help people apply who may think they are not eligible for lots of reasons. I would say go ahead, Barbara.
I would think that should go under assets, the mobile home that they have, and we would look at it that way rather than income.
Mhm. Yes, put it under assets. Good, thank you. Josie asks, do the homes have solar panels? Yes, our Habitat homes do come with solar panels. As long as we can and have sources for that, we will be doing that. It's not an absolute, but it is something that we need to do as part of the codes now. It's now a California code. So Habitat homes have solar panels. That really helps keep the cost of electricity down. Is a trailer or a fifth wheel considered an asset? I would say no. That falls in line with a car. Anybody disagree with that? Unless you're going to sell it, I don't see
it.
Barbara?
I would think it would depend on the size of it, the value of it. If it's about the value of a vehicle, then we would look at it as a vehicle. But I think they should consider that. If they have a question, attach something letting us know.
I would say put that information in section 6 under additional comments. I have a trailer, I think it's worth this. And then that'll help. Dion asks, I am a single person and do not make enough income. However, I qualify for a reverse mortgage of $150,000 and then getting an inheritance. So I will have a large down payment. Would I be able to qualify? Remember, we're not answering the question, do you qualify today? I don't know on that one. I would say maybe. So I would urge you to go ahead and apply. It's such simple 2 pages. If you own a home now that's not a mobile home in a mobile home park, then you might not qualify as a first-time home buyer, but that kind of depends too. So I would say please apply, put as much of that information down in the additional comments section, or if you feel it's a detailed explanation, please add a page to the pre-application and we'll look at that. Can we choose a single-story house? No. You cannot choose one. You know, if there's accommodations that need to be made because of a disability, that may come into play. But, you know, like I said earlier, these are not custom homes, and our build cycle and our build location is what determines whether a house is single or 2-story and the size of the home. Good questions, everyone. Thank you. Anonymous question, Tim? Tim, did you have a comment?
I would just add that if there's a individual or a couple that would qualify for a 1-bedroom home, that would be a single-story home, but homeowners are not eligible to choose the type of home they want. It's dictated by national policy as to what the applicants qualify for.
Going forward, our smallest homes are 2-bedroom, and single folks and couples are welcome to apply. And those 2-bedroom homes are single story. Generally, our 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom or up homes are 2-story. That's been our general pattern. Okay, thank you. My next question is, my bank app supplies my FICO score through TransUnion. It is currently good at 736. Is this sufficient information, or do I still need to find it through the big 3 score keepers? Isn't TransUnion one of the ones listed as
Yes.
having a FICO score?
Yes.
I think that information is sufficient, yes. As long as it comes from TransUnion and they supply that information to your bank, then yes. And if it's your FICO score, then that's a good score, good job. So another question. My daughter has multiple sclerosis and sometimes her legs go numb. We live in a 2-story apartment where you have to go up and down stairs to enter. Would that be considered a need? Yes, that sounds like a need. Please apply. I currently receive part-time unemployment due to my hours being cut. I work part-time. Where do I put the unemployment and as income? You add that into your gross monthly income, add that amount in, put all your gross income in section 2. Do we need to include all stimulus checks for income? Good question. Is that your gross monthly income? And you probably received one in April, right? Recently. What do you say, guys? That's a new one, right? It's not generally. Go ahead, Barbara.
I was just going to say, I think you would need to list it as a stimulus check because that would be separate from other things. We would look at it as such, but it would not be your regular monthly income. So
yeah, that's an excellent question. And it's obviously a new situation. So I would recommend put that in section 6. I received a stimulus check, put the date and the amount, and then we'll just consider it at that point. Another question I received, section 8, for the space rent for the mobile home I own. So should I put it under asset? The home is old and disrepair, poorly insulated, and possibly has one. Yes, put that under assets. And if you don't know, if you're not sure, when in doubt, put the information in section 6 or on a separate page. But I would say for now, put the value in assets. Almost done. We got 7 more questions. Jessica asks, is there a place to put that I'm pregnant, or do I put the unborn baby as a dependent? Yes. Barbara?
I was just going to say indicate somewhere that what the term is on the pregnancy and indicate that because that will be in the future and a little unknown at the present time. But I think to indicate that so we know that.
When we look at the family size during the time of application, and we consider an unborn baby part of the family, so we need to add that in as an individual. And that's how, if you progress to the full application stage, that's how we determine number of bedrooms. Is there always at least one bedroom downstairs? Yes, for the most part, there is. All of the homes that I've recently been involved in, recently I've been here with Habitat for over 11 years, have had one bedroom downstairs. And a bathroom also. We have a friend who recently became a Habitat homeowner. If we help them work on their house, will that count towards our sweat equity should we be selected? Sweat equity hours start counting at the time you're selected. So in that case, I would say those hours were likely counted towards your friend, but will not be counted towards your home should you be selected. The clock starts when you're selected. And there's a number of things. Like I said, we have lots of ways to earn the hours. We had a recent homeowner who was involved in a neighborhood cleanup with another nonprofit, and that fell under our community support, and those hours were counted. So there's lots of different ways. You can get it done. Everybody gets it done. We say 500 hours and people go, their eyes get big, but everybody gets it done. Going back to the RV question, are trailers or fifth wheels considered homes or vehicles? So I'll answer that again. Put that information in section 6. Try to determine a value if you can. Guess at it. I know that's not easy. But mostly those tend to be considered vehicles, especially if they're older and in major disrepair. But put it down. Oh, we're getting more questions. Another question. I can check my FICO score with my CitiCard app on my phone. Is that fine? Just check with CitiCard to ask them where they get that information from. If it's from Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax, yes, that information is correct. Sydney says, thank you for everything that you do for our community. Not a question, but you're welcome. And thank you for being a part of this. And we are really, really excited to do this work. We love what we do, and it's a privilege. In the future, for a homeowner, can one build a gazebo, a fire pit, a kiln, or have a hot tub? I would say, yeah, I would say probably. Our lots are pretty small, so I don't know if there'd be room for a gazebo, but some of those other things, there's always a little backyard area, and homeowners can do in their backyards those sorts of things.
Probably not.
What is the square footage of, sorry, Tim, go on, go ahead.
Oh, I was making a snarky comment. I was going to say there probably wouldn't be room for all four.
Yeah, probably not room for all four, but you know, I mean, you can, once you move into a home, you're a homeowner. Once a habitat, you move into a home, you're a homeowner. And, you know, homeowners have painted their walls different colors and put things in their backyards that fit. Can I volunteer even if I'm not selected right away? Certainly. Please go to our website or call the phone number, find out how to do that. Absolutely. And then finally, it looks like the last question. What is the square footage of our homes? And that depends. They range from, I'm going to say, for a one bedroom recently, we had a 750 square foot home up to 1,400 to 1,500 square feet for a 4-bedroom. So they are modest homes. These are not large homes. There are not separate dining rooms and large bedrooms or master suites with walk-in closets. So these are modest homes for low-income individuals in our county. And so that's our square foot range between, let's say, 700 and 1,500, depending on your family size. Okay, so I'm going to wait about 1 or 2 seconds to see if another question comes in. And I want to thank you all so much for attending. Again, nchabitat.org/housing2021 to get the application, or you can come see us. We hope to meet you all soon, and thank you for attending. And thank you to my panel. Thank you to Barbara Dean, the chair of our Homeowner Selection Committee. Thank you to Tim and Janie Ackerman, longtime Habitat Homeowner Selection Committee members, former board members. When you become part of the Habitat family, you meet wonderful people. Oh, somebody popped in a question. Are there garages? Yes, there are garages.
Single car garage.
Single car garage generally, yes. Another question. I'm a single mom of 3. What if I qualify and become a homeowner and then marry someone with kids and need a bigger space? Well, if that happens, then you might need to sell the Habitat home, and that has happened, but it is a long and involved process, not easy to do. These are deed restricted homes. So just know it's going to take some time, and if you've been in the home a very short period of time, likely there won't be much equity. Oh, good question. Are there rules about pets? Yes, 2 pets is the limit. There are rules about pets. We'll get more into that should you progress on to the full application stage. Okay, I think I'm going to call it. It's an hour and 20 minutes, a little longer than we wanted to, but great questions. That's why. Thank you for attending and good luck. And I hope to see your applications coming in. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.